So the first one, that is the meaning and concept of curriculum. So the meaning and concept of curriculum, what does that very word curriculum means? Curriculum, sometimes we consider it to be as syllabus, the course of study, the different learning experiences that are provided. Some say it also includes the co-curricular activities. So here we are saying that curriculum is the list of contents that are to be taught. It also refers to the set of subjects. It is the syllabus that is followed in the educational institution. It is also the program that are carried out or the different activities that are carried out in the education institution. It consists of different study materials. It also includes both curricula and curricular activities, and it comprises of all those experiences a learner receives in a school or in a college. So, curriculum can be called a plan of learning, which contains assumption about the purpose of education in our society. So, in a way, it acts as a plan. It gives us the idea about what? The idea about the aims and objectives. It tells about the social scenario, the type of political environment, the type of social background, economic status, and also portrays the national goals, and moreover it should be according to the psychological needs and requirement of the individual. So curriculum is a course of study, and here we see that it includes both the curricular, that is your academic part, and also the co-curricular activities, or which we call them as extracurricular activities. That is your essay writing competition, poetry recitation, debate, discussion, art and craft, dance, drama, NSS, Red Cross, NCC, eco clubs under the modern concept of curriculum.
मैम वॉइस बोलो क्लियर है.
So the Sanskrit word equivalent is what? That is
मैम
Patyakram.
वॉइस क्लियर है
Patyakram,
आपकी.
the sequence of
हेलो
course including the content
हेलो
and its process. Patyakram
हेलो
encompasses the content, process, a sequence
हेलो
pertinent to the
हेलो.
state of education. So Sanskrit word means what? So here the equivalent word of curriculum is what? That is, it is a course study, sequence of course depending on the stage of education, the content and process arranged in a definite hierarchy. Here, the process of understanding, to acquire and to think or to reflect. So these all things
हेलो
equally are important.
मैम. हेलो
Course of study, the course depending on the stage of education, processes arranged in a hierarchical order. Therefore, the curriculum is to be from simple to complex, known to far, from concrete to abstract, in hierarchical order, so that the child will feel comfortable to read. So it is considered as a product. Why considered as a product? Because here it is a just like a document that has to be prepared by the board, that is the curriculum board, and which is carried out by the university or the educational institution, which would consist of list of
हेलो.
courses and syllabus. So these curriculum planners, they are the curriculum planners, and we have developers who work for, they look into the matter, this particular program becomes a success. That is, curriculum should include both the curricular activities, that is the academic activities, and also the curricular activities. And why is curriculum considered as a program? Because it covers the entire teaching learning program. That is, for example, if we say in the narrower sense, it refers to the courses of study offered by the school, that is the student's choice of courses within a given program of the school. The curriculum will denote sources of learning other than just the courses.
हेलो मैडम.
Through activities
हेलो
and cultural events, sports activities in the cafeteria, in the principal office. So here we say that each and every experience is said to be educative. So each and every
Hello, ma'am.
experience to be
Hello.
considered in the
Hello, ma'am.
educational platform. So learning
Hello.
occurs in several school settings apart from the prescribed course of study. So apart from the prescribed course of study, there are some other things that is outside the school also, outside the classroom also, the student learns some the other things. Curriculum as intended learning outcome. Curriculum is what? It is an intended learning outcome. Why? It has been
Hello,
designed. It
ma'am.
has been designed according to the aims and objectives of education. It refers to the knowledge of content, skills, attitudes, and behavior
Hello.
that students are expected to learn in school and colleges. Learners, through planned learning experiences, by interacting with their peer groups and teachers in the school environment, learn. So, within the four walls of classroom, while you are there within the classroom, or even if you are outside the classroom, you keep on learning. So curriculum is a result of instruction, and it is not only that, but it has some broader area. That is, it includes activities that is that given through your direct instruction, or indirectly you also gain it from different kinds of interaction with the environment within the school campus. So here we say that curriculum is considered as a planned learning experience. So common the idea is what? That is, curriculum is something which is planned prior to the teaching learning situation. That is, what kind of experiences to be provided, what are the different methods to be taken into consideration, how the goals are to be achieved, what will be the test, what are the different kinds of evaluation procedures that are the tests to be taken, whether objective type test or essay type test, so that we'll be able to know how the students have understood, how much they have grasped. So everything is planned, therefore it is known as, that is, curriculum is a planned learning experience. Here, curriculum plans, the actual curriculum is the learning that occurs in the student after going through these different experiences. So, if we take a broader concept, we see that all the different activities that are provided in the educational institution, maybe directly or indirectly, affect the entire personality of the individual. Here, it should be according to the age level, interest, aptitude, intelligence, maturity, mental maturity, capability. So, these all things are important for organizing or planning a curriculum. What are the different implications? What are that come out from these study? That is, here we see that an analysis of the different definitions or the concept of curriculum say that we have two types of continuum, one ranging from the concrete to abstract, the other ranging from school centered focus to learner centered focus. So here some of the definitions say that curriculum should be specifically subject centered. Some say that they are learner centered, whereas some say that is teachers should dominate the teaching learning process. So here some say that curriculum is all about the concrete experiences that are provided or concrete concepts that are provided, and some say no, they also deal with some abstract thought process. So here we see that these are some of the basic things that are told about the curriculum. Then curriculum as a field of study. So curriculum as a field of study, it has interrelationship with other disciplines. That is, what are they? The communication theory, the system theory, technology, sociology, psychology, supervision, organizational theory, management, subject area, philosophy. These are some of the areas from which the curriculum draws heavily, and finally it gets its final touch or final shape. Here, what do you mean by a overt curriculum? Overt curriculum refers to those activities or experiences that are not directly provided to the individual. They are hidden or latent. So, overt curriculum means intended curriculum. This includes all those experiences which are, for example, I am going through the classification curriculum. three types. One is the overt, another one is the hidden, another one is the null. Overt, that is expressed; hidden, that is latent in nature; and null, which nullifies the curriculum. That means, in a way, that is not directly provided. So what do you mean by the overt curriculum? The overt curriculum, that is which is arranged in an intentional manner, in a planned way, the curricular and co-curricular activities in an organized way, is openly provided to the learners. There are fixed timetable for that. What is the hidden curriculum? That is unintentional
मैम आपको वॉइस टा क्लियर आसुनी डी हेलो
procedures, just like an
हेलो
underlining principle or hidden curriculum.
आपको मो वॉइस आसुची
I don't I
हेलो
don't know why everything is everything is
मैम
okay.
वॉइस क्लियर सुबुनी हेलो हेलो
So here we see that curriculum content are unnoticed. Students learn a lot from the social environment of the classroom, that is through the nonverbal behavior like gestures, postures, eye contact, appreciation of the student behavior. The teacher conveys many things. So the nonverbal behavior also helps the student to learn a lot. Therefore, these particular activities come under the hidden curriculum. So the overt curriculum is something planned, hidden curriculum that has not been done consciously, and null curriculum means what? That this refers to curricular matters which are not consciously but are taught by our silence. A curriculum of social studies generally includes history, geography, civics, but not anthropology, economics, sociology, or psychology. So these subjects are there but not directly present, but in an indirect way through some other subjects, for example, history, geography, and civics. I am particularly talking about school curriculum, not about the college or university curriculum. Then what are the different approaches? Approaches of curriculum. So according to Hankins, following features of
Madam,
curriculum approaches are what? That
madam,
is, curriculum approach refers to a holistic position. So what do you mean by a holistic position? So here we say encompassing the
madam,
foundation
I have a question.
domain of curriculum and the theoretical and practical principles of curriculum. So it expresses a viewpoint about the development and design of curriculum, the role of the learner, the teacher and the curriculum, and finally the technical, scientific and non-technical approaches that are included. So what is the first behavioral or rational approach? So the behavioral or rational approach means what? That is a logical and scientific perspective. So while planning or developing a curriculum, we should have a logical or scientific perspective which emerges out of the research in the behavioral science, that is dominated. The thinking domain is the most important part, and this approach is otherwise known as logical, positivist, conceptual, empiricist, and experimentalist. So rational, scientific, technocratic. So it is a structured activity. Here we see that everything over in this particular approach is based upon the scientific thought process, and it has the requirement of empirical evidence. Then what is the system managerial approach? So the system managerial approach are what? That refers to the school is perceived as a school, as a social system. As we know that school is considered as a miniature society, there are various components of a school system. These components interact among themselves to achieve the intended objectives formulated by the school system. These components are teacher, student, curriculum specialist, and others who interact with them according to certain norms and standards. So how to have a system approach over here? That is all the different components, that is your teacher, student, the curriculum specialist, and the entire teaching learning scenario should be managed properly. Here, this advocates among things, that is selecting, organizing, supervising the people involved in the curriculum decision. Consideration is given to the committee and group processes, the communication processes, leadership methods, strategies, human relation, and decision making. So, this system managerial approach says about what? That is how to manage the entire system, that is the curriculum development and curriculum planning, and the different sub components of it, that is the teacher, the student, the administrators, and the social environment upon which it has to act. Again, we see while the managerial perspective refers to the organization of people and policies, and the system perspective looks at three major components, that is the engineering, the stages, and the structures. So here we see, that is what are the different stages of curriculum planning and development, what are the different structures of it, and we also see how these things are managed properly, organized properly, who are there at the decision taking level, and who are there for implementing it, and upon whom they are implemented. So all these things come under the system managerial approach. And intellectual academic approach. So what about the intellectual academic approach? At schooling and education, from a broader perspective and discussions, education from a historical and philosophical angle, this particular approach focuses upon the intellectual or academic approach. Here it talks about, that is focusing upon the subject, integration of various instructions, teaching learning procedures, the methodology that is to be adopted, guidance and the type of evaluation to be carried out, supervision and administration procedures. So these are the main focus area under the intellectual academic approach. And here we see that the main focus of curriculum makers of this approach is what? That is, they have, one should have a structured, thorough, well organized subject area, and these disciplines should be arranged in a very systematic way. That is, the curriculum should be arranged in a very systematic way. Moreover, the outcome of the curriculum will be what? An intellectual and academic development. Then what about the humanistic and aesthetic approach? This particular approach emphasizes uniqueness of the child, that each child is unique, there is individual differences among the children or the students. They have their own interest, desire, ability, and it lays stress upon what? That is self-actualization, self-reflectiveness of the learner. Whether the child is able to understand a thing, whether the child is having any problem in going through the teaching learning activities, what are the problems he or she is facing. That is, here this approach consider the child in a holistic way, not only from the cognitive dimension, not only it is considered as an intellectual development, rather it considers child as a whole human being with its different aspects. And it focuses upon cooperative, collaborative learning, independent learning, small group learning, and these are the some curricular strategies that are to be followed while dealing with this particular approach, that is humanistic aesthetic approach. Then reconceptualist approach. What about reconceptualist approach? This particular approach says that a newer perspective which is subjective, political, ideological in nature. Here, social activism of deconstructionists like Count Rugg, they challenge the traditional scientific and rational view of curriculum, and they lay emphasis on moral, ideological issues of education, economic and political institutions of society. So here the very word reconceptualist means, that is, one, you have a conceptual idea, then you again reframe or reformulate it. So these people are in favor of what? That is the present ideological situation, the social environment, the political institution that are prevailing in that particular locality where the school is there, that things are to be taken into consideration while framing the curriculum. One has to reformulate the aims and objectives and accordingly try to frame the curriculum according to this particular reconceptualist approach. Then the evolution of curriculum, that is beginning of the curriculum. The beginning of the curriculum is what? According to John Dewey and John Frederick Herbert, these are the two educationists or thinkers who can be associated with the field of curriculum development or the beginning of curriculum. That is, they developed their views on education at the end of the 19th century, and these are basically influenced by the American educational thought process. So curriculum was not specialized area. At that time, it was not taken seriously, or it was not considered as an important aspect of the teaching learning process. It was only considered as a via media through which knowledge can be provided to the students. But after the Herbertian theory emphasized the concept of selection and organization, the main focus was given to curriculum development, and Franklin Bobbitt, he was the person who initiated this particular process, and he has written two books, that is the curriculum and how to make a curriculum, in the year 1918 and 1924. After that, we can find a proper organized body was framed for curriculum development and for planning the different aspects of curriculum. So here, establishing what is the main focus regarding the curriculum studies, what are the area of concern, that is establishing a sound relationship between the general aims and the specific objectives. That is the main focus area, so that the teaching learning will be carried out in an effective way. Then pedagogically sound sequence of content, that is it should be in touch with the child's needs and requirement, the growth and development process, the sequence of the developmental stages, and making the curriculum a balanced fare for the overall growth of the learner. That is, all-round development of the learner is to be taken into consideration. So, curriculum is a Latin word. It is a comprehensive course of study to be undertaken by an educational institution. Here we see that is a comprehensive concept. So, this indicates it includes both the curricular and co-curricular activities. So, prior to 1947, the educational system in India was of consisting only subjects like English, vernacular languages, mathematics, history, and these all subjects were mainly focusing upon the exam-oriented things. That is, rote memorization, overemphasis upon memorizing the concept and all. At that time, the focus was not upon child-centered education, where the area of study or the all the subjects that were arranged in the curriculum should be in accordance with the child's need and requirement. So in after that, that is the Secondary Education Commission, it recommended for the changes in the curricular structure. What are they? That is 5 subjects to be included up to the class 8. That is languages, 2 languages, mathematics, social science and general science. Specific stream of studies for class 9 and 9 to 11. Then duration of schooling will be 11 years, and establishment of multi-purpose school so that academic and vocational stream can function properly. So there are a number of recommendations given by other constitutions also, other commissions also, and committees also. For example, National Policy on Education has given. Then we have the Education Commission regarding the national development. The commission recommended uniform pattern of education, 5 years of primary education, 8 years of elementary. Then we see 2 years of secondary, then 2 years of higher secondary. Science and mathematics were to be made compulsory up till the completion of your matriculation, and plus 2 stage was given as diversified course was given so that the students were able to select their streams, whether going to arts, commerce, or science. And there are some qualitative improvement were also emphasized at that time. Then we move on to say that what are the different curriculum and basic criteria and processes. The basic criteria and processes of curriculum or the curricular criteria, what are they? The relevance. That is, the things that are to be considered within the curriculum should be relevant to the present age, location, content of the student. That is, it should be locally relevant. The content matter should suit to the child's need and requirement and also to the age level. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for the child to comprehend or to understand. Then, the geographical location. A student will be able to relate to the geographical location where he or she is living, will be able to identify. That is, geography, history, social studies, civics should take the examples of local area also. Then, developmental stages of learner. The breadth and depth of curriculum should be designed depending on the different stages of the learner as defined by Piaget. So, we will see the in psychology we all know there are stages of development, growth and development, and these development stages are to be taken into consideration while framing the curriculum. Then, coherence and connectivity. These subjects, that is whether you take your language, literature, mathematics, social studies, science, SUBW, craft, music, these all are to be taught in a connected way, integrated way, and there should be coherence or link between the different items that are taught. Interrelatedness should be there. They should not be taught just like watertight compartments, or one should be able to understand the interrelationship between history, geography, civics, how these subjects are interrelated. Then the curriculum should also be in touch with the equity and excellence. These are also equally important. So, equity and excellence means that since we are in a diversified, that is, India is having multiculturalism, multilingualism, these all things should also be taken into consideration. There are people following different religion, having different languages, having different cultural backgrounds, each and every people belonging to different ethnic group, these all things are to be taken into consideration while framing the curriculum so that every individual feels important while going through the subject matter. He doesn't feel that my religion or my area has been neglected or nothing is there about my people. That should not be the thing. Then curriculum processes. So curriculum processes, the curriculum framework has to be designed keeping in focus the existing social structure, that is the sociological structure and its demand. That is, the curriculum should be organized in such a manner so that it will suit to the demands of the society and also equip the child to face the future demands so that the child will become an efficient individual capable enough to solve his or her future problem. Then we see that there are some stages according to Duval in 2004. He has given what are the different stages that are included under the curriculum processes. That is the curriculum policy. Then we have the curriculum development, implementation, monitoring, reviewing, and revision. So, what is a curriculum policy? It is the vision of education reflected in the national educational policy and based on the curricular issues and concern. So, the social, economic, political, technological factors that determine the kind of educational system are the sources from which curricular policies emanate. So, national goals or the national, according to our aims and objectives, these curricular At this, the curricular subject matter or the area of study should include the importance that are laid in the national goals, and it should focus upon the all round development of the learner. It should make the learner a good citizen so that he or she can function in a secular, democratic, socialist country like India. And here, the curriculum should also develop a national vision. We are aiming to create an individual who is well equipped to face the future uncertainties and is able to lead a good and efficient life. And moreover, this also includes that the curriculum should be arranged in such a manner which will help the individual to earn his livelihood. You will not be an unemployed fellow. That is, the curriculum should also have scope for employability. Then we see that curricular structure. What are the different curricular structure? So here curricular structure refers to the provision of educational program at various stages, that is beginning from the pre-primary to senior secondary stages. So at each stage, how many subjects should be there, what should be the interconnectedness, how will be the coherence managed, what are the subjects that are to be taken as optional subject, what are there as the core subjects. So these are things that to be taken into consideration while focusing upon the curriculum structure. Then, according to the National Curriculum Framework for School Education, that is in 2005, there are some important stages, that is in the growth and development. As we see, in the same way these all things are included in the curriculum schemes, that is the early childhood education, the elementary level, that is the elementary school, then the secondary school, then the higher secondary stage. These are arranged in accordance with the principles of growth and development, so that when the child develops and has gradually develops his mental maturity, accordingly these all provisions are provided. That is objective of achieving all round development, that is the main focus of early childhood care. It should be based on the child's interest and priorities. Playway method will be there. Music, rhyme, art, drawing. These are important. Development of fourfold linguistic skills, speaking, listening, writing, reading. These are also important. Development of communication capacities. That is development of language. Then the elementary stage, that is the class 1 to 8, where the constitution has considered education as a fundamental right. Here reading, writing, arithmetic, formal disciplines, social sciences, language competency, mathematical thinking, these are the important area that are to be considered. Craft is also taken into consideration, even physical development through sports, games, drill. These are to be taken into consideration. Then secondary school, that is the period of intense physical change and formation of identity. Why? Here we find these, this includes, that is adolescent stage, that is the period of stress and strain. Therefore it focuses upon both intellectual development and also your physical development, and creating awareness of disciplines and introduce students to the possibility and scope of studying in them those subjects which will help them to lead a better life, which will be helpful to arrange their future life in a very systematic and formal way. Then subjects like economics, music, cookery, and vocational subjects are also included in this particular secondary school stage. Then what about the higher secondary stage? Here it has 2 years of schooling, and this particular age, the main focus is on what? That is the interest, aptitudes, needs, that is regarding to their future life. Choosing optional courses of study as per the interest and future career. That is, diversified curriculum is the need of the hour, which will suit to the requirements of the child. better options are there, so that the child will be able to select. He'll not feel bored. This will create interest in education. Then the courses offered at the plus 2 stage need to be in accordance with the present demand of the society. And there should be some optional subjects also, or optional modules. For example, one can say that academic and vocational stream can also be merged together. A person can go for academic subjects and also opt for at least one vocational subject which will provide him with vocational skills. Then, what about the curriculum framework? It is the guidelines for translating into practice the scheme of education at various stages of learning. That is, according to National Curriculum Framework of 1988, it provided objectives of education, the scheme of study, medium of instruction, the time to be devoted, that is the time allocation. Flexibility is also found in the time allocation. These are the area that were considered while framing the curriculum. And it followed the principle of decentralization, and here the time spent out for instructing purpose, for the instructional purpose, should be of 180 days. So here we see the number of school hours to be taken into consideration. The timetable is to be framed in such a manner which will suit to the needs and requirement of the student, the local scenario, the geographical area. Everything is to be taken into consideration while framing the curriculum. Then the curriculum implementation. How one has to implement or practically carry out the curriculum in your classroom. That is, it requires a coordination of what? Different activities. What are they? That is the infrastructure, the teaching learning equipments or materials, that is the teaching learning aids, the type of methodology, whether the teachers are trained or not. All these things are to be taken into consideration. Proper development of syllabus is there or not, that is the academic subject matters are properly arranged or not, whether they are following a chronology, systematically arranged or not. Preparation of textbook is important. Development of support materials, that is teachers guide is also there. In laboratory we require manuals. These all things are important. Orientation and training of teachers are also important. So curriculum implementation is not only holding a book and going straight to the class and reading it out in front of your students. Rather, it is the coordination of all these activities, so that we can say, that is right from the entry into the classroom to the exit, everything is done in a very systematic way. And there are also teaching learning aids which will help in creating interest in the teaching learning while providing the teaching learning experiences. Then curriculum review and revision, that is very important, because this review and revision will provide a feedback so as to modify the curriculum. And review will help in monitoring what are the drawbacks, what are the lacunas, what are the drawbacks in each stages, the drawbacks, whether it is found in arrangement of components, or whether it is found in delivering the learning experiences, or while evaluating the learning experiences, or the test books are not in accordance with the aims and objectives. Everything should be taken into consideration. Even the teaching learning materials which are given for which are taken as teaching aids, whether they are able to meet up to the required standard or not. These all things are to be taken into consideration, and accordingly it has to be reviewed periodically, so that better thing will come out. Then what is the role of the teacher? Role of the teacher is what? Teacher is the person who has to practically carry it out. He is the person who is to deliver all these things directly to the student. He has to confront the student. So the teacher should be well versed with the knowledge of that particular subject. He or she should have idea about child psychology, about educational psychology, about the methodologies of teaching, what are the different psychological methods of teaching, and also should be engaged with what the teacher should also interact with other teachers and share their curricular experiences. The teacher should be always should always have an updated version of knowledge, so that whenever a student asks something, he or she is capable enough to deliver the thought process, or deliver to provide him a right answer to satisfy the learner. These all things are important. Then what about the curriculum change? So curricular input should be in consonance with the changing social needs. Here again, curriculum should have the scope for flexibility. It should not be rigid. It should always have a scope of taking into consideration the latest requirements of the society, the needs and requirements of the people, the needs and requirements of the learners. So here we have to see that they should keep in focus the vision of the future, what is required in the future. And curriculum changes must strengthen the gender equality. Gender equality will be there. Here we should see use of ICT enabled tools will be there. Global trends and issues are to be taken into consideration, so that the students who are the outproduct of this particular curricular transaction are efficient enough to face the challenges of the present era, because now the society is very competitive. Here we are saying the survival of the fittest. One has to adjust, one has to adapt, one has to balance. All these things are important. For that, teachers should be trained. There should be in-service, pre-service training facilities. The teacher should go through that. Refresher courses should be there, so that the teacher will know the what are the latest trends to be adopted, how the ICT enabled tools to be used, how to make use of computer, what about the digital blackboards, how to make use of that. Then different support materials should be developed. Then learner participation during classroom instruction should be seen, how the evaluation is to be made student friendly, fear phobia is to be removed. All these things are to be taken into consideration, which comes under the curriculum change. And who are responsible? Who are the representative groups? What are the components that are included under this particular heading, that is curriculum change? They are the, so that a socially relevant curriculum is to be prepared. The students, the parents, the educators, the researchers, the community members, the business community people, political officials. These are some of the important representatives of what we say a socially relevant curriculum can be ensured if these panels and commissions formulate educational priorities and include these people. So, in this way, we say that curriculum change is also required. So implementation of curriculum change, only making a change and keeping it, that is not important. One has to also apply it. That is, one has to address the major issues and concerns of the society. Complete utilization of information and communication technology should be there. Here, teaching learning processes should be upgraded. Again, curriculum managing system should be there, and their work should be to constantly monitor society will help the student to face their future life in a proper way. Then we see the what are the different foundations upon which the curriculum is to be built. There are philosophical foundation, psychological foundation, sociological foundation. So first is the philosophical foundation. The philosophical foundation here, philosophy is the guiding point. Guiding point in what? Guiding point in curriculum decision making and influences all the subsequent decision regarding the curriculum. So it will act just like a torch. It will show you the path in the darkness. So here
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Your voice is not audible clearly. Hello. Hello.
Madam, nothing is audible.
Can you listen, ma'am?
We are unable to listen to your voice.
Hello, hello, Madhav Naik.
Yes.
Hello, Madhav Naik. Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Please, ତମ contact number ଟା ଟିକେ ଦେବେ. Hello,
Okay, we'll text you.
Madhav Naik.
अच्छा, हाँ.
ଟିକେ ଆପଣ contact number ଟା
Nine
ଟିକେ
double
ଦେବେ.
six eight
9668
966 540 890.
0 ଆଉ ଥରେ ଟିକେ କହି ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ. ଆଉ ଥରେ ଟିକେ କହି ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ.
9668 540
530
9668 540
540
890
89
0.
ଓକେ, ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ. ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର କୋଉଟା? ହ୍ୟାଲୋ,
ନଳିନ ଦେବୀ ନଳିନ ଦେବୀ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର. କ'ଣ ପାଇଁ ପଚାରୁଛନ୍ତି ଟିକେ ଜାଣିପାରେ?
ଏଇ ମୋର କୌଣସି ସାଙ୍ଗ ମାନେ କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟ ନମ୍ବର ହିଁ ନାହିଁ. ଆସାଇନମେଣ୍ଟ ଲେଖିବାକୁ ଟିକେ ଅସୁବିଧା ହଉଛି ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ.
ଠିକ ଅଛି, ମୁଁ ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଆଡ୍ କରିଦଉଛି ତୁମକୁ.
ହଁ, ନିଶ୍ଚିତ.
ମତେ
ମୋର
ଏଇ ନମ୍ବରରେ ହ୍ୱାଟ୍ସଆପ୍ କରିବେ ଆଉ.
ହଁ ହଁ ହଁ, ଏଇ ନମ୍ବରଟା ବି ହ୍ୱାଟ୍ସଆପରେ
ଠିକ ଅଛି,
ଅଛି.
ଠିକ ଅଛି. Actually, this is the
ହଉ,
conference, so we cannot talk more
ଓକେ,
about.
ୟେସ୍ 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 ୟେସ୍, ଓକେ, ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ.
Let's wait for madam.
ଓକେ.
So we have the idealism. So idealism says what? That emphasis is upon the matter as an illusion, and here ideas are real. So in this particular scheme, these are the models, and here I have given values which are real in nature. And according to these, they give importance to subjects like philosophy, theology, then mathematics, history, literature. Language also has an important place. That is the curriculum according to the idealistic philosophy. They give emphasis upon philosophy. Then we have your theology, that is the study about religion, religious doctrines. Then history and literature is also given emphasis. Then mathematics is also emphasized, and even languages also occupy an important thing. Then what about the realism? Realism stays importance or gives importance on history. Curriculum comprises like mm, study of mankind, and realism tries to provide experiences and also gives importance on 3R. What are these 3R? That is reading, writing, and arithmetic, which are very much requirement for an individual. That is, these are considered as the basic education. Then pragmatism, which is also referred to as experimentalism. Here, learning is considered as a transaction between the learner and his environment. The learner should learn the qualities of experimenting, and here, problem solving skills is to be developed, scientific method is to be developed, and here the learning experiences should be arranged in such a manner that they will be exploratory in nature. That is, one has to explore, the learner has to explore and note the thing by himself or herself. Then we see perennialism and existentialism. Then what about existentialism? Existentialism focus upon what? That is, learners are thrust into a number of choice making situation. Learners should be given the freedom to choose what to study and also to determine what criteria to determine these two. So here they are in favor of individualistic thought process. They want to develop the individual aim aspect of education, and they want to develop what? That is activities of self expression, experimentation, and teacher becomes a partner in the teaching learning process, but the teacher is not having a directive role. He or she is having a non directive role. He should not impose anything upon the student. Here, maximum freedom is given to the student to select the subject and also follow the requirements of the subject. Then we see perennialism. Perennialism is most conservative educational philosophy. It advocates the permanency of knowledge, values that have moral and spiritual basis. So here we see the curriculum is purely subject centered, it is discipline oriented, and language, science, literature are the main focus, and here they are giving more emphasis on evaluating the student standard, the type of achievement they get after the completion of the curriculum. These are all exam oriented type of curriculum and purely subject centered in nature. What about the progressivism? Progressivism, here we see interdisciplinary nature. Students should develop problem solving and scientific temper. Here, the teacher and student, they plan the activities together. Teacher is to help the student to analyze a thing so that the student will develop the problem solving ability. Again, cooperative behavior is there, and it also gives emphasis upon self discipline. Then essentialism. Essentialism, what do they favor? They do believe that education should prepare the learner to adjust with the changing society. So one has to adjust with the changing society. Learning should consist in mastering the subject matter that reflects currently available knowledge. That is, the curriculum should be upgraded according to the latest demands or latest knowledge and discoveries, so that the student will be well equipped with the latest trend. Then the student will be able to know the very essence or importance of that particular subject. Therefore, they are in favor of what? That is knowing the current knowledge. Knowing the current knowledge. Then Reconstructionism. They view education as a means to reconstruct the society, to reform the cultural values, to reform the social values. So here they are in favor of studying subjects that promote new social, economic and political education. These subjects are taken into consideration so that issues, political issues, economic issues, social issues, the students will be able to understand them clearly and how to find a solution for them. These all things are important because reconstructionists, they are in favor of reforming the society. Cultural renewal is important. Planning in advance is important. Constructive changes are given importance. Studying controversial issues is also given emphasis. Critical examination of cultural values is also taken into consideration. So these are some of the important area of study according to the Reconstructionist. Then according to Rabindranath Tagore, that is according to Indian educators and their contribution to curriculum. So as we know that R.N. Tagore is a naturalist, he is an individualist. So here he was always in favor that human beings should have greater communication with nature and should experience nature's purifying and vitalizing forces. That is, one should always have interaction with nature so as to get the real knowledge. And again in 1901, when he had established the Santiniketan school, which again turned out to be Vishwabharati University in 1921, it had many departments which dealt with different stages of education, like the nursery school, the secondary school, the higher secondary, the college for UGPG research, then the teachers college, that is the training college, that is college for fine arts were also there, college for music and drama was also there. And he favored a curriculum which was based on activity centered approach, and originality and creativity of the student is to be developed. That was the main focus according to R.N. Tagore. And what about Gandhiji? Everything that Gandhiji told, that is our father of nation, that was purely based upon truth and non-violence. So in his Vardha scheme of education or basic education, he opted for free and compulsory primary education, self-supporting educational system, craft-centered education, mother tongue was emphasized, ideal citizenship is to be developed, that is the virtue of ideal citizenship. So here basic craft like agriculture, spinning and weaving were taken into consideration. Mother tongue was emphasized, mathematics, social studies, general science, and even drawing and music. So these were the important subject area that were considered according to Gandhiji's viewpoint. Then we see Sri Aurobindo Ghosh. Sri Aurobindo Ghosh always wanted the students to have sublime truth, that is believing in sublime truth. What is the eternal truth? Attainment of salvation and moksha, understanding the ideals like truth, beauty and goodness. He had given emphasis upon what? That is the 5 levels. What are these 5 levels of integral education? His system of education is known as integral education because he integrated all the aspects of personality: social, moral, emotional, mental, vital. All these were taken into consideration so as to give an integrated approach. So the physical cell referred to the physical education, the vitality referred to the training of sense organ or the vital education, mental referred to the intellectual education, psychic the social and emotional education, spiritual the spiritual education. So he wanted to develop an individual who is an all-rounder, and according to him, the teacher should act just like a facilitator and nothing should be imposed upon the student. As he said that nothing can be taught and the mind is to be consulted, and here The student is not to be forced to learn something. And his system of education was considered very uh, it was in accordance with the psychological process of growth and development, that is psychological principles of growth and development. Then we see sociological foundations of curriculum. These were the basis of curriculum or foundation of curriculum according to the philosophical aspect. We have three bases. First, the philosophical, second, the sociological, and the third one is the psychological. The second one is your sociological foundation of curriculum. It lays stress upon what? That is society, education, and schooling. Here, school is considered as a miniature society, and it is to be maintained by the society to help the young to adapt and prepare for life in the larger society. So one has to prepare life, one has to prepare the individuals to face the challenges of future life. That is, school should be such an institution. Here, emphasis is given what? Emphasis is given on the social environment, the type of rituals, the type of ceremonies that are carried out, the norms of the society. The curriculum should reflect the contemporary social forces, dynamics of changes should be there. There should be scope for change also. It should not be a rigid curriculum. According to the sociological foundation, curriculum should not be rigid. It should be flexible. It should be dynamic. It should reflect the cultural, social values of the present society. And it should also have scope for social change and curriculum. That is, for example, the influence of growth and technology, different new inventions, discoveries of science, structure of family. Even the structure of family has changed. No more we are having a joint family system. We are having a nuclear family system. Even we are having families which are looked after by single parent. Single parenting is there. A child coming from this particular type of environment will have a different view towards life. How to change that? Then cultural diversity should also be taken into consideration, because India is a land of multiculturalism, pluralism of culture. Therefore, the acculturation and enculturating capability or ability of education is to be taken into consideration while framing the curriculum. Then we see the planning for curriculum change. How one has to plan? One has to follow the ensure the relevant curriculum can be planned by formulating educational priority should be given to the following representative groups. So here are some of the people who are responsible for providing a particular platform where one can get what are the different lacunas. From their answers one can conduct survey upon these people. They will act as representative to tell what are the different problems they are facing in their specific area and how these problems are to be tackled. So who are the representatives over here? First is the student, because their consultation should be taken and seen what are the problems they are facing, what are the lacunas they are having. Then parents. Parents are also to be involved. In parents teacher meeting, one can ask what are the problems do you find in this particular curriculum. Then the administrators and the public leaders and teachers also, because they are they deliver the curriculum to the students, and the administrators and administer the entire educational system. Then the researchers, they are doing research over curriculum planning, developing, implementation. Then the community members, their participation. And since we consider school as a miniature society and it is a part of the society, so the community members' voice is to be taken into consideration. Then the political leaders, even the business communities, because in the education is considered as an economic investment. So here, these people play an important role for planning for curriculum changes. So what are the different psychological foundations of curriculum? Psychological foundation of curriculum lay emphasis upon what? That is, the basic question is that how do people learn, and teaching learning, the interrelationship. Here, basis for understanding the individual learner, how the learner interact with the environment, with his classmate, with the teacher, his interest, desire, capability, principles of growth and development, individual differences, all these matter a lot. Again, there are different schools, that is, who provide learning theories and their relationship with curriculum. There are behavioristic theories are there, which uh, give importance to the SR relationship, that is the stimulus and response. The cognivist, they give emphasis upon the learner in relationship with the total environment. Humanist psychologist, they emphasize attitude and feelings, that is the affective part or affective domain of learning. So we see there are three schools or theories given according to the psychological foundation of curricula. So first one is what? The behaviorism. So here we find there are many behaviorists like your E.L. Thorndike, who trial and error theory of learning, and the SR connection, conditioning behavior by changing the environment. If we change the environment, the required behavior is conditioned so as to give a desired response. So here, behavior is likely to be influenced by the conditions under which learning takes place. So the environment or the condition should be conducive for creating the right behavior. Then the learning experience should be arranged in such a manner which will suit to the learner's requirement. And selective reinforcement. One has to reinforce, one has to motivate the student so as to do the correct response or to give the correct response. So here they focus upon what? That is acquisition of skill, appropriate use of materials, shaping the behavior, diagnosing the learning defects, what are the needs and requirements of the learner. These are the important areas that are taken into consideration according to the behaviorism school of thought. Then they say that all those objectives that are written for the curriculum development, these all things should be arranged in a behavioral terms. That is, while planning a lesson, in the specific objectives we use what? That is it is to be written in behavioral terms by using action verbs. Then teachers should be well trained, educational technology should be used, proper teaching learning equipments or teaching aids are to be used. These are the important things that are to be taken into consideration. Then cognitive school of psychology. Cognitive school of psychology, they give emphasis upon what? That is mental development. That is, they refer to Piaget's cognitive stages. That is the sensory motor stage, birth to the age of 2, then the pre-operational stage, that is 2 to 7, concrete operational stage 7 to 11, formal operational stage, that is age 11 to onwards. So here we see that the role of psychology, that is to that is here we say those psychologists who are in favor of the cognitive theory, they focus upon the intellectual development side and how one perceives, how one inference, how one analyzes, how one infers, the type of value judgment a person does. All these things are important according to the cognitive school of thought. Here, how one arranges the data in a logical way, whether he is able to perform the abstract operations, formulate hypotheses, able to conduct deductive and inductive reasoning processes. These are very important. And even whether the child is able to interact properly with the environment, or is he having any environmental pressure, whether there is something in the environment which is obstructing his uh, way of getting the knowledge, which is obstructing his way. All these things are taken into consideration. Then, according to Tyler, there are three methods of organizing learning experiences. One is the continuity, one is the sequence, another one is the integration. Continuity means that is the skills and concepts that are provided in a particular curriculum should be in a vertical recurrence which enable the learner to practice those concepts. That is moving from simple to complex in a very step-by-step process. Then sequence is what? Understanding the concept should be in the sequence such that successive experience builds up on the preceding one. That is, your past experience will help you to form the new knowledge, and there should be a linkage with the past knowledge and the new knowledge, and a successive growth will take place. One after the another, everything is just linked just like a chain. Then integration. Integration means what? Concepts in a particular subject should be not in isolation. Rather, they should be taught in an integrated, coherent manner. So here, Brunner also has given some concept, that is acquisition, grasping of new knowledge. That is important. Then transformation, that is individual's capacity to process or to create new information. Then evaluation, that is having your value judgment, how to evaluate a thing, whether a particular thing, that is determines the extent to which the information has been processed appropriately enough to deal with the problem. An individual has got an information, has some knowledge, whether the child is able to utilize that particular knowledge or information to solve the present problem. So this shows the child should also possess the problem solving ability. So these are some of the things that are taken into consideration according to the cognitive psychologist. Then what about the humanistic psychology? So here these theory view that the total organism in relationship to the environment, wholeness of the problem. According to them, the individuals should study a problem in totality, should not analyze or break it down, should study in a synthesized way. Here, we have to say that the child should get self-fulfillment and he should be able to have self-realization, and they have taken the reference of Maslow, Maslow's hierarchy of human interest. According to Maslow, who is a psychologist, so he says what? There are psychological needs, there are hierarchy of needs. At the base, at the bottom, we find the psychological needs. Then we find the safety needs. After that, the love and belonging. Then the esteem. Then the self-actualization, knowing and understanding. So at the bottom, we have psychological needs. Then we move on serially to the final, that is knowing and understanding and self-actualization. These refer to Maslow's theory of hierarchy of human needs. So this help in understanding humanistic psychology. They consider a problem in totality. They try to teach their students through their curriculum to understand the thing in total, not to segregate a thing. And the teachers and curriculum framers should view the learner as a whole person and see that learning is a lifelong process. So they also focus upon what? That is all-round development of the learner, because they say that learning is a lifelong process and all the aspects of the learner should be taken into consideration in totality. Then what about transfer of learning? What does that mean? So transfer of learning says that knowledge of one discipline will help you to learn another discipline. For example, knowledge of Latin language improves one's intelligence. If you know how to ride a bicycle, you'll be able to ride a two-wheeler also, because it will help to maintain your balance and ride it. So here we see that Latin language helps or improves intelligence. Mathematical concepts help in developing logical reasoning power. So there are different subjects which whose knowledge help in learning other subjects also. So therefore, the curriculum should be arranged in such a manner so that there is integration of subjects is there, a coherent approach is there, correlated activity is carried out. It should not be taught in an isolated manner. The subject should not be taught in an isolated manner. And the modern curricula should always focus upon the positive transfer of concept. Then, basic human needs and the curriculum, self-actualization and developmental tasks. So, basic human needs is what? That is fitness, nutrition, health problems, and these refers to the physical needs. What about the mental needs? That is, mental health is also important. Belonging, security, status, mental development, these are also given importance. So what about self-actualization? What does that mean? It emphasizes that an individual's need for self-fulfillment of life by achieving his or her own potential. Curriculum therefore should provide such learning activities as will allow the students to identify themselves with those things they can do well. That is, the curriculum should be arranged in such a manner which will help the learner to know the inner strength, the latent potentiality. It will give opportunity to the learner to know himself in totality. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How to overcome my weakness? How to boost up my qualities? So, self-actualization, understanding of self, making your potentialities well developed, grooming your personality. Here, learners are thus helped to find personal meaning in the learning experience. So here learning experiences should be arranged in such a manner which will help the learner to relate so that the learner will feel that this particular thing is meant for me. I should learn this. This is going to help me in my future. And the curriculum should be arranged in such a manner which will take into consideration both the individual's development and also the society's or institutional development. So here they are focusing upon what? Both the individual and the social aspect. What about developmental tasks? These are tasks which arise in relation to a certain period in the life of an individual, success which leads to his happiness and to success in later tasks. That is, these tasks are to be arranged in such a manner that is, if a person performs well in one particular task 1, then he gets the confidence of performing the next task, and in that next task also he gets success. But if the person is not able to perform the first task, then he becomes demotivated and not even tries to perform the next task. So developmental task, the very word development means these tasks should be arranged in such a psychological manner that one task will lead to the success of the another, and proper transfer of learning will take place in a successive way from simple to complex. And it will not give any kind of unhappiness, rather it will motivate the child to carry out higher further order tasks. Then we move on to the curriculum planning. What does that mean? So the curriculum planning includes what? So here we see that curriculum planning is a process in which participation at different levels, decisions are taken regarding the goals of learning, the teaching learning situation, and the methods to be adopted, the methods for evaluation, all these are taken into consideration. So here there are some levels of curriculum planning. Here 7 levels of curriculum planning have been given. First is the national level according to Bene. First is the national level. What does this say? So here from curriculum planning at the national level involves scholars from some particular discipline from various institutions across the world. So scholars, eminent scholars, professors, these are they are formed a group, or they constitute a particular group where they decide how the curriculum at the national level should function. What are the different subject matters to be taken into consideration? How those subject matters are to be taught, that is from specific to general, from concrete to abstract, or which way will be suitable to the learners. Then what are the different tests that are to be performed so that whether the educational objectives have been received or not, these things are to be taken into consideration. That is, they frame a curriculum at the national level. Then state level. In these group of educators, that is teachers, principals, curriculum coordinators, form a committee under the state education department. So here center is over. Now we are referring to the state level. So state education department consists of these people, and overall program across the state is to be considered, monitored and evaluated. So should the local authorities be included? What are their suggestions? Are the teachers trained enough? What kind of learning experiences to be provided? How that is to be organized? What kind of evaluation measures to be taken? All of these have to be taken into consideration. Then we come to system-wide level. Here you see that from a broader concept, we are flowing down into just like a funnel. From a broader concept, we are flowing down into a smaller part, smaller level. Then system-wide level teaches what? That is district level. At the district level, this one is known as system-wide level. What happens over here? It discusses the district level curriculum and consists of elementary, middle, high school level teachers, district curriculum coordinators, and also some eminent citizens. They review the curriculum. They provide recommendation for the refinement, improvement, and what are the different issues that are affecting to the entire district. So the system-wide level, they have authority over the districts. Then building or institutional level. So at institutional level, a particular school or college or university, so this include what? Group of parents, teachers, administrator, counselors, and even students are also included in the university, school or college level in a particular institution. And here the student tell about their experience, teachers tell about their experience, parents tell about how the students are carrying out their homeworks or what are the different problems they are facing. Everything is discussed. What about the hidden curriculum? That is whether the that is your gestures, postures, non-verbal things are taken into consideration. These are also, they do have they throw an important impact upon the child psychology. If the teacher is always angry, then the student will not have an interest to attend the class of such a teacher. So here institutional features include what? That is the teaching learning process, the materials, the teacher's qualification, then the conscious effort should be there to plan the entire program so that here it is to be carried at the institutional level in a proper and efficient manner. Then comes teacher team level. Here teacher team, again this has been confined to a smaller level. Here group of teachers, they interact the subject areas who have thorough knowledge of a particular subject area. They come together, they try to develop or discuss regarding the unit planning of a curriculum. What are units to be taken into consideration? What are the interdisciplinary curriculum planning to be taken into consideration? How this thing is to be done in a cooperative way, correlated manner, the subjects or the concepts are to be arranged. These all things are taken into consideration. Then the individual teacher level, where a single teacher decides about the learning objectives or rather plans his lesson accordingly so that the particular curriculum or the unit or the particular class is taken in a very smooth way. the different kinds of activities, the resources he or she is going to use. Teacher decides the objectives that are to be achieved and the timings, that is within what time span the entire thing is to be covered up. Then cooperative curriculum planning, a teacher and a group of learners. So here both the teacher and a group of learners, they interact, they discuss their problems, they share their feelings, and here the teacher is just like a guide and he formulates the plan in collaboration, that is taking in consideration the views of the learners, the problems they face. A particular topic is taken, what about that topic, how the topic, who, when, where. These are the important questions that are dealt in this particular platform. Here we see these are the 7 kinds of curriculum planning level. Then what are the principles? So curriculum planning is
Ma'am?
concerned with the
Hello,
experience
ma'am.
of the learner, improving.
Madam, can you hear me?
What happened?
Madam, I have a question. Uh, we were taught about
What?
local specific curriculum. So at which level local specific
What?
curriculum are being prepared? Madam, I am asking at which level local specific curriculum are being prepared?
That is at the local level. This is a concept given by a specific author, that is Binet, in the year 1986. That can never fall under the national level, neither the state level. Here we are seeing that at the local level, then who are the representatives of the level? If it is only with the teachers, parents, and the institution, then it falls under the building or the institutional level. If only the teachers are there, then the teacher team level. If only an individual teacher performs, then the individual level. So if you are talking about only individual teacher, then that particular thing will come under the 6th level of it. And if you are talking about the local level, so local level in the sense that is the institutional level, where a particular institution is there and the counselors are there and the parents, the local people, they are also involved. So these are they fall under the institutional level or the building level. Okay. Then we see curriculum planning involves decision about both the content and the process. So the content and the process is what to teach and how to teach. That is equally important, and learning experiences should focus upon improvement of the entire individual's persona. Again, decision about the variety of issues and topic, how much is to be included and how many. Many refers to the quantity and quality is also there. Here we have to see what are the different concepts and how much is to be included. History is also taught in the class 4, 5 we also see. We see it in the high school level also. Even we have a history as a subject in the college level. But college level consists of some bigger area, whereas school level these concepts are there but they are not found in a such a descriptive or elaborative manner. So the way we move on to the higher level of education, things get more complicated, more number of concepts are included because this is arranged according to the maturity level of the learner. A school going student does not have a maturity level which match up to the college level learner. So therefore, a particular concepts get more complicated and elaborated as we move on to the higher level. So here topics and issues are to be arranged in such a manner so that they are in relation and not in isolation. Therefore, connectivity or correlation approach is there. Then curriculum planning involves many groups. That is participation of teachers, students, curriculum administrators, even students and scholars are also there. Even the citizens are also taken into consideration so as to we get the feedback or their views while framing the curriculum. Then curriculum planning takes place at many levels. So national level to the classroom level. National level to the classroom level, we see that there are different stages and different types of people are there in organizing that or planning that particular curriculum. So then the next principle says what? Curriculum planning is a continuous process. Why it is to be taken as a continuous process? Because the feedback that we get from these people, those are the representatives, they tell us where the lacuna lies and we have to formulate it again and again for the improvement. So here we have different, we have to select proper learning activities, program evaluation methods, and the feedback helps us in the improvement. Therefore, it is to be considered as a continuous process. So, curriculum planning framework has some different theories attached to it. According to Ralph Tyler, he says that what educational purposes must be taken into consideration, so that what are the educational purposes the school has to attain, then what are the learning experiences to be provided, what organizational method is to be employed, then how to attain the types of assessment tools and techniques, how to attain the purpose to be evaluated. These are the four important things that are to be addressed for curriculum planning according to Ralph Tyler. Then we see what is the overall general framework of curriculum planning. So the overall general framework of curriculum planning says that there are some aspects. That is, what are the different aspects that come under the curriculum planning? First is the foundation, that is the base. The philosophical, psychological, sociological bases are to be taken into consideration. The needs and requirements of the individual and the society are to be taken into consideration. Then the goals, that is the national level goals, the state level goals, the district level goals, that are to be taken into consideration. Then what are the general aims and objectives? That is the developmental stages, then principles of growth and development, what next, how the learner matures from the childhood to adulthood. These are the important things under the general objectives. Then the decision screen. There are 5 decision screens are there. How are they going to function? The learner characteristics must be clarified. That is, we should be clear about to which group this particular curriculum is to be administered. The learner's qualities, their individual differences, their learning styles, everything is to be taken into consideration while planning something, that is curriculum, for them to teach. Then learning principles are to be taken into consideration. The principles and maxims of teaching are to be taken into consideration. Then the resources that are available, we should plan according to our resources located inside the school and outside the school. That is, this says about what? That is, community resources are also taken into consideration. Then the teaching learning situation should be conducive. That is, it should be appropriate and it should help the learner to learn psychologically satisfied, physically satisfied, and there is the law of readiness is also found. That is, the mentally and physically the child is ready to learn and nothing is to be imposed upon him. Then, so here we see finally the knowledge is organized in a create specific teaching learning situation. So here the teaching learning situation should be arranged in such a manner which will be helpful for getting the or achieving the goals or objectives. Then development of specific curriculum. So we have development of specific curriculum plan, that is a particular unit is there. We have to frame the unit's title. Then what is the importance or the rationale behind it? What are the general characteristics of the learner? Then what are the different units that are to be linked with that particular subject matter? Then the time frame, then the objectives to be achieved, then the content area on which the teacher and learner have to deal with, then the activities that are to be carried out, then the measuring devices, and suggestions for the evaluation of the unit plan, that is the resource unit After the planning and implementation, evaluation is always required so as to know what are the drawbacks or what are the lacuna. Then learner involved in curriculum planning. So learners are also involved in curriculum planning. There are different types of examples have been given, and here it provides a model according to Benny, that is, it is a democratic model, and here it provides a model of democratic living. Why? Because we are involving learner into it, cooperative and participatory decision making is done, and the learner also feel important enough, and he thinks that he is equally important, and he is sharing some responsibility, belongingness is developed, and also mutual respect is there. Again, it offers a teacher a chance for the teacher to know what is important and interesting to the learner, that is the desire of the learner, the requirement of the learner, his likes and dislikes, everything the teacher can discuss if we focus upon a curriculum which is prepared in collaboration with the learner. Then here learner also has a chance to express, that is, the freedom of thought and expression is there when the learner is involved in the curriculum planning process. Then the improvement of curriculum. So the improvement of the curriculum is what? It should be based on the concept of a good life. Here, the needs of the society, essential elements of teaching and learning should be taken into consideration. The current needs and requirements of society and individual. Focus on the needs of the learners. Educational goals should be written with clarity. Educators must inform the citizens about the foundational areas, that is, one should be aware that whether this particular curriculum is relevant to the present scenario or not. Then cooperative procedure is this: integrated the set of activities, every each and every learning activity should be organized in an integrated way. Then here we see that continuous feedback is there, and teacher should act as also a facilitator or a stage setter, and learners should be given freedom to express their thought process, and the entire curriculum decision making should be continuously evaluated from time and again so that refinement and modification is possible. Then irrelevant curriculum. What is called as an irrelevant curriculum? Relevant means which is according to the needs and requirement. Irrelevant means just the opposite. That means it does not meets the needs and requirement of the learner, neither the needs and requirements of the society. And the curriculum, the irrelevance of the curriculum can be considered in two ways. That is, the curriculum is fixed and there is no flexibility, there is rigidity, and if this is the case, then there will be no area for change, no scope for any modification. Then trivial curriculum, that is curriculum which lays emphasis on trivial subject matter, those things that are not required, those things that are outdated. If these things are taken into consideration, then the curriculum becomes irrelevant or not appropriate. Then what do you mean by an emerging curriculum? Emerging curriculum is a constantly evolving curriculum because new area of research, discoveries, inventions help to evolve this particular kind of curriculum. It is a dynamic curriculum. There is area of flexibility. It is in accordance with the needs and requirements of the social, political, economic scenario. The individual's needs and requirements are also taken into consideration. For example, we take the example of liberal education. So liberal education, as we know that liberal means to provide freedom. So here the aim of education is to liberate the learner's mind and should be provided to all without any discrimination. So without any discrimination, the student's fundamental right, that is providing education, is provided properly, and there is no authoritarian concept over here. Creativity and self-expression is emphasized. Again, what is a global education? In this era of globalization, students should have concept of global education because this will help to develop problem solving ability, decision making, ability, creative thinking, and will also provide a global perspective to the learners. What is going on around them? In this competitive world, what is going on? One has to adjust. When they come out from their educational institution, they should find themselves well equipped with the latest knowledge so as to tackle the problems of life. Then interdisciplinary education, that is, different disciplines are to be taught in a very interrelated and correlated manner. They should not be considered as rigid subject areas because this will help in better understanding of the student. Then education for secularism. So education for secularism means what? Education should not focus, or the curriculum should not focus upon any particular religion. Rather, here we should focus upon humanity so as to create humane qualities, and the curriculum should develop scientific understanding, broader views. It should come above the sectorial feelings or caste feelings. Then the future trends in curriculum. What are the future trends? That is, aim of education is to prepare the individual for future. Therefore, curriculum planning for the future is imperative because democratic changes are there, technological innovations are there, and social changes are there. So, due to these three reasons, curriculum should always be upgraded or modified. Then the impact of ICT, that is information communication and technology, because these all affect the area of study like science. So here upgradation of the curriculum is required. Even distance education. Distance education, now the study materials are provided in the format of non-print media also. For example, the CDs and all. We have both print and non-print materials. We have instructional materials that are designed like program instructional materials. These are only due to the advancement of information communication and technology. So therefore curriculum is to be always upgraded. So again, what are the models of curriculum designing and development? So the models of curriculum designing and development and the components which are there for curriculum design are what? That is, the purpose design also includes a purpose or the aims or goals and objectives, design of the subject matter, that is how the subject matter is to be organized, how to implement the learning experiences, and the evaluation approaches. All these four things or the four components, they come under the curriculum design. How is to be done? What are the learning procedures to be adopted? How the entire process is to be evaluated? Everything, strategies, resources, activities, everything is to be taken into consideration under the components of curriculum design. Here, what are the sources from where we will get the ideas or the reference material? Science, because it helps in giving us the latest knowledge, the updated knowledge. The scientific inquiry procedure is based upon objectivity, evidences are there, and also the society. Why? Society, social situation, the political system, the economic scenario, everything is to be taken into consideration because educational institution, they exist within the society. Therefore, society should be considered as one of the resources for curriculum designing. Then knowledge. Knowledge of different fields and disciplines are to be taken into consideration. Disciplinary and interdisciplinary approach is to be there for designing the curriculum. Then what are the dimensions of curriculum design? Scope, that is the breadth, the variety, the type of educational experiences to be provided. So the area to be covered comes under the scope of study. Then what about integration? Integration integrate the learning experiences of the learner at a particular level of the curriculum. That is how to provide the content in an integrated way so that a proper understanding of the learner will take place. Then what about sequence? Sequence is what there should be a vertical relationship between the curricular elements so as to the enabling continuous learning. That is, the activities or the concepts are to be arranged from known to unknown, from simple to complex, from near to far. In a vertical way, it will start progressing towards up and up and up. Then here we see another thing, that is, it should be based on the logical, it should be arranged in a logical way. The subject matter should be arranged in such a way that they follow the principles of psychology, that is, psychological principles are followed, principles of growth and development are taken into consideration. Then what are the four bases of sequencing? How this sequencing is to be carried out? That is, moving from simple to complex, part to whole, chronological learning, whole to part. These are the basis for sequence learning. What about continuity? Continuity implies repetition of such skills or ideas in the curriculum about which the learner should have in-depth knowledge. So in-depth knowledge is required, that is, repetition makes or helps, as we know that practice makes a man well versed in that particular knowledge. So here continuity or repetition makes, for example, you are dealing with some mathematical concepts like addition. So the sums are to be practiced time and again so that a thorough understanding of addition is developed. Then only we'll be moving towards multiplication, because addition is the will provide the fundamental knowledge to move or to understand multiplication. In the same way, subtraction helps in understanding division. Then articulation and balance. Articulation refers to the interrelatedness of the concepts of curriculum. Here, vertical articulation occurs when certain lessons of courses are related to those occurring later in the curriculum sequence. Vertical means moving from below to up. Horizontal in the same plane, and horizontal articulation between curricular components simultaneously. For example, if we are reading or organizing social studies in a particular class, that should include the geographical scenario, the historical references, the type of social life the people used to live, that is in the same horizontal plane. But when we see in a upgraded manner, first we teach the students about general science. Then when they move to the higher classes, we have separate science like biology, which consists of botany, zoology. We have physics, we have chemistry. So from general science, we are moving to the higher part, that is, we say, that is vertical articulation. Then curricular approaches. We have different approaches. First is the subject area approach, where subjects or disciplines are taken into consideration. Here, subjects are focused, not the learners. In a way, subject-centered curriculum. So here, English, mathematics, mastery of social studies, music, art, and mastery of the subject matter is to be focused. So therefore, subject area approach is just the same, which is known as subject-centered curriculum. What about the broad field approach? It is the combination of two or more subjects from related fields into a broader field. So curriculum over here is not to be taught in a rigid manner. It should have an interrelatedness. It should be flexible. Humanities. The very discipline humanities focuses upon what? Literature, art, history, music. Or we can draw information in a group manner, that is from sociology, psychology, history, anthropology. So here we see that interrelatedness of the subject matter. Then problem-centered approach. What is problem-centered approach? So here, these are designed to address the societal needs that is the social issues and the preservation, transmission, and enrichment of culture. So problem-centered approach focuses upon the needs and requirements or the problems of the society, how the learner is to be well equipped to tackle those problems when he becomes a matured adult. Then learner-centered approach is just like the child-centered approach, where the main focus is upon the child's interest abilities, needs, and the major purpose of this approach is to help the learner to come up with the grips with the issues, with the lives, and how to modify the personality of the learner so that he becomes an efficient citizen. Then what are the models of curriculum development? There are technical scientific model. For example has been given of Taba model, that is Hilda Taba's model. Here, there are 7 steps that are to be followed in this particular model. First is the diagnosis of the needs, that is the needs and requirements of the learner. Formulation of objectives is there. Selection of the subject matter or the content is there. One has to formulate the objectives, specifying the different requirements. Then organizing the content. One has to select, then one has to organize it also. Then selection of the learning experiences, that is how to teach, what are the different experiences or activities, experiences that are to be provided. Again, these experiences are to be provided through activity. That is the next step, that is organizing the learning activities, that is should follow in a proper sequence. Then finally, the evaluation to see whether these objectives have been achieved or not, that were prefixed. So here we see the Hilda Taba model, where it is considered to be the concept of participatory democracy is highlighted in this particular model. It takes for granted that teachers have the time and expertise to engage in such extensive curricular activities. It says that teachers should find time to organize their teaching learning procedure in this particular, in accordance with this particular model. Then Goodlad model, what about this? Goodlad model is another model where we find what curriculum conceptualization is there, diagnosis is there, content selection, experience selection, implementation, evaluation, and maintenance. In your book, there are some diagrams are there where you will find in detail how these steps are interrelated and they flow in a very systematic way. Then we move on to non-scientific and non-technical models. Non-scientific, non-technical models are those models where focus is on the learner, his self-perception, needs, preferences. Here, learners are involved in this particular approach. Since learners are involved in this particular approach, for that reason, these are called as non-technical or non-scientific models. The models prior to this which we had discussed, in that case, students or learners were not involved. But in this case, for example, your open classroom model, your Rogers model, these are the examples where learners are involved in framing the curriculum. So open classroom is purely an activity centered curriculum. Activity curriculum do not believe in planning any activity for the children in advance. So here they select an activity, they organize it, and it was favored by William Kilpatrick. And according to the activity model, children learn by doing. That is learning by doing, learning by experiencing the thing, or learning by doing the things in a very systematic and step-by-step way. Then it emphasizes upon the freedom of the child, and here the role of the teacher is just to facilitate. And then comes the next model, that is your Rogers model of interpersonal relation. Here, changing human behavior, which can be used for curriculum behavior. Here, human experiences are taken into consideration, and Roger believes that by interacting in a group, learners can solve their problems. They express themselves honestly and expose each other feeling, and group experience permits the individual to know themselves and each other more fully than in possible in this usual social and working place. So changing the participants involved in the curriculum development. So this particular process, that is Roger model, which focuses upon human experience, the experience that one gets when one interacts in a group, and the group life influences the learner's personal life. So it is a model which promotes curriculum change by changing the participants involved in curriculum development. So while interacting, you will try to change your personality. You will try to rectify your weaknesses and try to convert your weaknesses into strength. Then what are the basic tasks of curriculum development? So here it is an comprehensive activity. It has some many sub steps are attached to it. For example, it facilitated analysis of the purpose, design of the program, implementation of series of related experiences, helps in the evaluation of the process. These are the important things. So again, establishing the philosophy, assessing needs, formulating goals, selecting curriculum experiences, organizing content, selecting appropriate instructional strategies, evaluating learning instructions. These are 7 steps where we find that is these are the basic tasks involved in the development of curriculum. So that is the aims and objectives of education are to be taken into consideration while framing the curriculum. That is, the philosophy helps in formulating the goals and objectives, therefore establishing the philosophy. Then assessing the needs and requirements, and objective methods and techniques are to be employed, and students are to be motivated. Here, the needs and requirement of both the individual and the society is to be taken into consideration. The objectives are to be written in behavioral terms. Then selecting the content. Here we see that the content should be selected in such a manner that it is just like a cooperative activity or endeavor. It should enable the students to apply the gained knowledge in their day-to-day life. Outdated concepts are not to be selected, otherwise they are going to become irrelevant curriculum, which we have studied just now. Then organizing the content in a systematic and such a way which becomes relevant to the needs and requirements of the learner, and also it is a reflection of the societal needs and requirement. And here we see it should ensure definite sequence, continuity, integration of various aspects. Then selection of curriculum experiences. The experiences that are to be selected should be based upon, should help for personal development of the child, skill development of the child, education for social competence. That is, it should make the child a competent social being. Then we see evaluation of the curriculum. Evaluation of the curriculum has objectives, learning experiences, and evaluation. These are interdependent, and here they share a tripolar relationship, and interdependent cannot be scrutinized in isolation. So three of them have to be taken into consideration. The objectives are to be taken in consideration along with the content and method of teaching learning, and finally the evaluation is to be taken into consideration whether the curriculum is relevant. And this particular evaluation is also of two types. One is the formative way, another one is the summative way. The process of curriculum evaluation. So formative evaluation gives a feedback on every aspect of curricular component, and accordingly it is accepted or rejected. So here we see, for example, a curriculum should provide for evaluation of learning and evaluation of instruction. So evaluation of learning focuses upon what? Two things. Evaluation to be done for two things, that is evaluation of learning, another one is evaluation of instruction. So techniques by which student learn to be is to be evaluated. That is whether we are having essay type test, multiple choice type test, or independent projects are there, or some group projects are there, so that we will be able to know how far the educational objectives have been carried out. Again, we have to evaluate the reliability, validity of these testing tools. Then evaluation of instruction. Evaluation of instruction is what? That is whether the effectiveness of instruction in the course was there or not. That is, how will you be, that is, the teacher performed the duty perfectly or not. That can be known from the students' feedback. That is, students' rating of instruction. Review of student work is also there. Peer review of coursework is also there. So in this way, the evaluation is carried out. So finally, we come to what? That is curriculum evaluation, nature and purpose. So curriculum evaluation, nature and purpose says that here, whether the curriculum is designed, developed and implemented is according to the needs and requirements, whether it is helpful or not, whether there is some weaknesses in that, and whether we are able to improve it or not. So here we see, according to Oliver, he has given three areas in evaluation, that is within the curriculum as done by the teachers in the classroom, that flexibility is required while teaching. If something goes wrong, the teacher should be competent enough to immediately solve that solution. Then the entire curriculum, that is by evaluation, the curriculum success in achieving the desired goals, that is after the completion, the entire thing is to be studied and analyzed, and finally the feedback is to be given. Then about the process used in improving the curriculum. What are the different processes that were carried out so that an upgradation or a refined new modified curriculum is developed? So these are the three areas according to Oliver. So what are the evaluation question? So here we say the questions of intrinsic value, the questions of instrumental value. Here, intrinsic value refers to what? It addresses the appropriateness of the curriculum in a given context. It deals with the curriculum as planned and also with finished curriculum as it is delivered. So, appropriate, whether it is according to the needs and requirement of the society, of the learner, demand is fulfilled or not. Then instrumental value, that is what the curriculum is good for, that is outcome of the curriculum, who the intended audience or target group, that is who are the persons that are involved in this particular group for whom this particular curriculum is prepared, that is the learner. The proper one has to know the learner and accordingly design the curriculum, that is the instrumental value. The question of comparative value, what does this say? That is the previous program, comparing it with the previous curriculum and the modified one. Here, one has to see, that is the existing program is adequate enough or not. One has to compare it with the previous one. Then the question of idealization of value, what does that say? It is the action throughout the delivery of the new program. Educators must constantly ask themselves how they might fine tune the program, content, material, methods, and so on, so that the students can derive optimum benefits from experiencing. So, time and again, the process of evaluation should function just like a cyclic process. In each step, the evaluator should be cautious whether the sub steps are carried out in a proper way. There is sequence is there, coherence is there, integrity is there, logical flow of thought and experiences are provided in a logical psychologized manner or not. Everything is to be taken into consideration. Finally, we have to see that whether the students are able to arrive the optimum value, the very reason for which we are preparing a particular curriculum for a target group, are we able to satisfy them or not? That is the main idea behind it. Then the question of decision value, what is it? That is decision making, whether to retain or modify or discard the program. That is, in the process of modification, one has to see, that is the particular thing is to be accepted or modified or completely discarded. Defining curriculum evaluation. Curriculum evaluation is a systematic process of determining and appraising the proficiency level of a system. That is, particular system is according or up to the mark of for which it was created or not. Whether the system is able to match up to the standard, to the objectives, to the goals or not. For that reason, we go through the process of evaluation. So we have two approaches. We have different approaches of curriculum evaluation. One is the scientific and another one is humanistic. So the first one, as the name suggests, it focuses upon experimentation, and the second one is what? It focuses upon your the first one focuses upon observation, interviews, and discussions with the participants. And here we see that the humanistic approach, they think that the entire evaluation is to be done in a natural setup, just like a case study. They find experimental as unacceptable. Humanistic approach, they say that we will not conduct any scientific experiment regarding the evaluation of curriculum. Rather, in a naturalistic setup, we will see whether the curriculum is able to satisfy the needs and requirements by getting the feedback from different resources or different representative groups. By getting their feedback, one can study whether the curriculum was appropriate or not. But just the opposite, the group says that scientific process is to be taken out, carried out, and experimentation is to be done, and after getting the result of the experiment, one can say that whether it was appropriate or not. Then the intrinsic and play of evaluation. So the intrinsic and play of evaluation say that how good is the curriculum. According to Michael, here an individual should study and act by examining the following aspect. So here people assume that a particular intrinsic value of curriculum, here we take into consideration the sequence, organization, the accuracy, the learning experiences. All these things are taken into consideration to study the entire well-being of the procedure. The entire thing was carried out in a proper way or not. Then the formative and evaluation. So formative evaluation and summative evaluation. So here we see that we have two types, that is formative evaluation can occur at several stages during the curriculum development process. At any stage, the validity of the content can be checked, whether the students are achieving the stated goal or not, or if not, then modification is carried out. Whereas we see that your summative evaluation comes by the very name, we know that summative word, that is at the end of the procedure, effect of the complete program is studied. It is carried out at the end of the educational program. It gives the picture of the curriculum totality once it has been implemented on the learners. So the sum defects are taken into consideration. So in this way, these are the two different types of evaluation, that is the formative and the summative. Then the curriculum evaluation models are there, that is Metfessel-Michael model. We have here the participants, the objectives, the content and experience materials, the methodology to carry out. Then we carry out the observation, we analyze the data, we interpret the data, make recommendation, and finally, after getting the recommendation, we repeat the cycle so that a modified new curriculum is also experimented upon the target group. And again, the new things are seen, and accordingly the thing is carried out, or the learning experiences are provided so as to satisfy the requirements of the learner and the societal needs. Then the congruence contingency model, it depends upon observation, subjective judgments, casual observation and all. Here we say this particular thing, that is objectivity in evaluation, according to Stake in 1967, he has given this particular congruence contingency model, and according to him, formal procedures will help increase the objectivity in evaluation. He has given three bodies of information. One is the antecedent, another one is the transaction, another one is the outcome. So antecedent is what? Which exists before the teaching learning process. For example, your prior knowledge, your attitude, your psychological desires, profiles of the students, years of experience of teaching. These are the antecedent. Then the transaction refers to the a teaching learning process that was carried out between the teacher, student, among the teachers, the student and student interaction between them also. These are the things and the outcome, that is the consequence of the education. Consequence of the education, that is the immediate result and the long term. That is the effect in the cognitive sphere, effect in the affective sphere, and also in the psychomotor sphere. All these things are taken into totality, that is coming under the stakes, congruence, contingency model. Then the discrepancy evaluation model, which says about what? That is determining curriculum standard, the curriculum performance, that is comparing curriculum with standards, determining whether there is any kind of discrepancy existing between the standard and the curriculum. That is whether the curriculum is able to match up to our expectations or the standards that were already formulated prior to the curriculum implementation. So one has to match up to the standards. Then only we can say that our curriculum is functioning in a proper way. So here we have seen the different models, and finally we see the CIPP model, that is context, input, process, product. Here it is the Stuffle-Beam model of 1971. Context is there, input is there, process is there, and then the final outcome, that is the product. So here context evaluation is what? It involves studying the environment in which we run the curriculum. That is the particular environment where the curriculum is transacted. Then the input evaluation, how to utilize the resources so as to meet the goals. That is proper utilization of the resources. That is the input part. Then process, that is implementation, managing the decision, planning the curriculum, that is the process part. What about the product? That is the final curriculum product, that is determining whether the final curriculum product in use accomplishes the intended goals. That is the goals, the curriculum is able to match up to the fixed goals or not. So then the connoisseurship model. So connoisseurship model is what? It recommends a process of called educational criticism and connoisseurship. So qualitative description of educational life as a consequence of new programs. Here it requires the critic to check the critical observation of interpretation are empirically grounded. Again, after going through a particular evaluation process, there are some critics who say whether that has been done in a proper way or not, whether that was it was carried out in a scientific procedure or not, enough experiments were done or not, sufficient results are there or not. There are some proofs to say that yes, the curriculum is matching up to the standard or not, and it is a continuous inquiry about whether the various parts to the criticism fits together as a consistent whole. All the different parts are performing their functions in a particular way or not. Again, focus of the evaluation. Curriculum evaluation phases are what? That is, the evaluator should decide what they will evaluate and how. That is, the focus should be there. What is to be evaluated, and again, how it is to be evaluated. That is, here we are saying, that is the content material and the procedures of evaluation also is what taken into consideration. Then collection of information. Here collection of information is again an important thing. Essential sources are there from which information is collected, and stages of collecting information is carried out so that feedback is utilized. Then organizing the information. The information is organized in a manner that is easily understood and used by the target audience. Then analyzing the information, that is entire information is provided. One has to see that each concept and sub concepts are arranged in a proper way or not. Then reporting the information. Finally, the process of curriculum evaluation is a continuous. Therefore, there is also recycling and also re-evaluation so that the curriculum is updated. So in this way, we find the different parts of curriculum evaluation phases and characteristic of evaluation, that is, what are the important values that are to be taken into consideration, the societal needs and requirements, how the goals are to be arranged in a proper way, that is, establishing norms, that is, the desired behavior that is to be present, what is to be there, how the behavior is to be socially acceptable, and comprehensiveness. It refers to the affective domain, attitudes, appreciation, then the continuity, that is, it is a ongoing process, evaluation to be considered as an ongoing process so that a refined and upgraded curriculum comes out, and instruments of evaluation should be valid and reliable, that is the diagnostic worth and validity, then integration of findings. Entire thing is to be reported in an orderly way, and it is as just like a comprehensive whole. Then progressing towards the goal attainment. Are we really moving towards the goal? Whether we are able to achieve the goal or not, that is also equally important. And here, who are the participants in the evaluations? We find the evaluators, the administrators of the curriculum, the managers, the educational administrators. Then we find the teachers who take the active part in transacting the curriculum, the different educational committees and commissions, they are also responsible. Then also we have the experts or the outside experts. The school can also employ outside expert to guide them in this curriculum formation. Then the policy makers are also involved, so that there are different types of bodies like policy makers hold responsible position in national levels, like agencies like NCRT, CBSE, State Board of Education. These all help in the total evaluation process, or they are the participants in the evaluation process. So here, in this way, we see that how curriculum is developed, then implemented, then evaluated, modified, so that the entire teaching learning process is not carried out in a vacuum. Rather, it is helpful in satisfying the needs and requirements of the individual, and also it is beneficial for the societal development. So in this way, MES-12 block 4 is completed. Thank, thank you to all. Thanks to all, and good night.
Thank you, ma'am.